Innovación es una de las grandes tendencias del mercado latinoamericano. Por esto, en Credicorp Capital Asset Management hemos creado un fondo único que permite invertir en las empresas más vanguardistas de la región. Credicorp Capital Latam Innovación Fund. Una oportunidad de inversión atractiva para quienes buscan acceder a compañías de rápido crecimiento en Latinoamérica que trascienden con innovación. Invierte con tranquilidad, porque con nosotros accederás a un equipo de más de 20 reconocidos expertos de toda la región, con amplio conocimiento local e internacional que seleccionarán las mejores alternativas para tu inversión. Invierte con seguridad en un vehículo de inversión domiciliado en Luxemburgo altamente regulado. Invierte con sostenibilidad en compañías innovadoras de diversas industrias que generan impacto en la calidad de vida de las personas y que se han transformado en agentes de cambio en la región. Credicorp Capital Latam Innovación Fund. Una nueva oportunidad de inversión única e innovadora. Credicorp Capital. Aliados, potenciando sus decisiones. Si busca un asesor para sus decisiones estratégicas, en nuestro equipo de finanzas corporativas encontrará expertos con profunda experiencia en transacciones locales e internacionales de alta complejidad. Brindamos soluciones en estructuración de préstamos, fusiones y adquisiciones, financiamiento de proyectos y mercados capitales, sirviendo de asesor ideal de corporaciones e instituciones en el levantamiento de capital y toma de decisiones estratégicas. Somos parte de Credicorp, uno de los grupos financieros más grandes de la región, y contamos con un profundo conocimiento del mercado, asesorando a las compañías más relevantes de Latinoamérica. Buscamos construir relaciones de confianza que nos permitan ser más que su asesor de inversión. Queremos ser su aliado estratégico de por vida en sus planes de inversión. Credicorp Capital, aliados potenciando sus decisiones. En Credicorp Capital, sabemos lo importante que es tomar decisiones de inversión. Es por esto que en nuestro negocio de gestión patrimonial contamos con un completo equipo de asesores que lo acompañarán en su crecimiento y en el de su familia. En nuestro compromiso de otorgar las mejores oportunidades de inversión, sumamos a nuestra propuesta de valor Credicorp Capital US, una plataforma internacional de inversión con las ventajas de un entorno regulatorio desarrollado y reconocido globalmente. Buscamos construir relaciones de confianza que nos permitan ser más que su asesor de inversión. Queremos ser su aliado estratégico de por vida, entregándole una asesoría integral y personalizada, donde el centro es usted y su familia. Credicorp Capital. Aliados potenciando sus decisiones. En Credicorp Capital, conocemos la relevancia de construir un mercado de capitales sólido y transparente. Ponemos a su disposición nuestro equipo especializado en mercado de capitales, capaz de ofrecer las mejores oportunidades de inversión en Latinoamérica y el mundo. Reconocidos expertos en market making en acciones y bonos, altamente calificados para realizar las más complejas transacciones de la región andina. Contamos con una plataforma de más de 30 años de experiencia en operaciones de mercado de valores, manejado por especialistas de ejecución y research con enfoque en Latinoamérica. Somos parte de Credicorp, uno de los grupos financieros más grandes de la región. Buscamos construir relaciones de confianza que nos permitan ser más que su asesor de inversión. Queremos ser su aliado estratégico de por vida. Credicorp Capital. Aliados potenciando sus decisiones.
Estás en mute, José.
Bienvenidos a todos, gracias por unirse a este evento que hemos preparado para ustedes. En esta ocasión tenemos a Nubank, la historia del unicornio de Latinoamérica. Esta es la segunda edición de una serie de webinars que hemos preparado para ustedes, en el que les presentamos las historias de las empresas más innovadoras de la región. La innovación, usualmente confundida con tecnología, es la capacidad de las empresas de reinventarse, de reinventar procesos, productos y su propuesta de valor, para adaptarse a un entorno cambiante e identificar nuevos mercados y oportunidades. Es así que nuestro fondo Latam Innovación ofrece la oportunidad de invertir en tendencias actuales en Latinoamérica, con rendimientos atractivos, como del 18% en lo que va del año y de 9% desde su creación en noviembre de 2022. Entre las principales tendencias en desarrollo que encontramos, vemos software e inteligencia artificial, e-commerce, innovación industrial, entre otras. Entre el universo de empresas que existen, el fondo tiene la capacidad de detectar e invertir en las tesis que son y serán ganadoras estructurales en el tiempo. Una de estas empresas es Nubank, el banco digital más grande de Latinoamérica. Jorg Friedemann, Investor Relations Officer de Nubank, y Santiago Arias, gestor del Fondo Latam Innovación, analizarán y nos contarán sobre la evolución de Nubank, los servicios que ofrecen y el desarrollo de su negocio. Importante decirles que en la parte inferior de la ventana de Zoom en la que están, podrán encontrar el botón de idioma en la que podrán hacer el cambio al español, dado que la presentación va a ser en inglés, para su mayor comodidad. Y también decirles que durante la presentación pueden enviarnos las preguntas que tengan a través del botón Q&A y estas serán respondidas hacia el final de la misma. Sin más, los dejo con Santiago y Jorge para que nos cuenten acerca del fondo y de Nubank.
Hola, muchas gracias a todas y todos por acompañarnos a este webinar y gracias, José, por la intro. Este es el segundo evento donde analizamos en conjunto los top picks de nuestro Fondo de Innovación Latinoamericana y esperamos tener más en el futuro cercano para que todos ustedes conozcan de cerca la calidad de las empresas innovadoras que tenemos en Latinoamérica. Al igual que mencioné en nuestro primer evento, el lanzamiento de nuestro Fondo de Innovación surge de una necesidad de nuestros clientes que nos decían: no, yo no invierto en Latinoamérica porque vivo acá y no quiero exponerme más. Pero al mismo tiempo, también se sentían alejados de los casos de éxito de nuestra región. Así que hemos creado este fondo como una invitación a todos ustedes para exponerse al futuro de la región. Y la mejor manera de pensar en esta oportunidad es con la siguiente reflexión. Y esta es: ¿les hubiera gustado invertir en Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Tesla hace 20 años? La respuesta es obvia, pero no podemos volver en el tiempo, ¿cierto? Así que la mejor manera de hacerlo es replicar esos casos de éxito en una región donde estos procesos tal vez van un poco más atrás y se puedan repetir. Es más, si vemos el retorno del segmento de innovación latinoamericana de los últimos 5 años, este ha sido ampliamente superior al del Nasdaq. En el caso de Nubank, este año ya va a 66% arriba y creemos que esto es solo el principio. Con este pensamiento me gustaría empezar la discusión con Jorg y conocer un poco más sobre este gran caso de éxito, el unicornio de Latinoamérica. Voy a pasar a inglés. Jorg, many thanks for being here with us today. We really appreciate your time.
Muchas gracias por estar
We
con
have known each
nosotros
other
hoy.
from a
Lo
long time ago,
agradecemos
and I know
enormemente.
you have
Nos
seen the
hemos
evolution of
conocido desde
banking
hace
in our
mucho
region
tiempo. Sé que has
and
visto
globally.
la
So I
evolución de
cannot
los
think
bancos
of
en la
anyone
región
better than you
y a
to help
nivel
us understand
global.
the trends
Así que
in the
no creo que
industry.
haya nadie mejor que
Which
tú
brings
para
me to the
entender
first
las
topic I would
tendencias
like
de
to
la
discuss.
industria. Lo cual
The
me
fintech
lleva al primer
revolution has
tema que
taken many
quisiera que
shapes, with some
comentemos.
companies succeeding in the
La
payments area,
revolución tiene
others in
muchos
wire transfers,
pasos.
savings plans,
Algunos
and so on.
países
But there are very few
tienen
success
éxito en
cases
planes de
in
ahorro, en
overall banking, and particularly in personal credit. So, if you could please walk us through a bit of the history of how Nubank has become one of the fully fledged digital banks in the world to succeed in more than one country, actually. And again, thanks so much for being with us today.
Muchas gracias por todo, muchas gracias por la audiencia. Es un gusto estar con vosotros aquí. Voy a pasar para inglés para que puedan entenderme un poquito mejor, pero una vez más, mucho agradecido por la invitación. With regards to your first question about, how did we evolve and got in the point that we are, Santiago? I would refer initially to slide number 3 of our presentation. And for the audience, this presentation will be also available in our investor relations website. You can see that the company was founded back in 2013. The first, clients that we start gathering, came in 2014. The company originally was founded by, three people, a gentleman, from Colombia called David Vélez, Edward Weibel, which was our initial CTO, and Cristina Junqueira, a Brazilian. Those three were seeded back in 2013 by three funds. Sequoia, Kazakh, the venture capital that also funded at the time Mali, and KED. KED is a family office, that was put together by Nigel Morris, who was one of the co-founders of Capital One. And I am bringing that to you because this starts explaining a bit of our origins and what Nubank did of different. So in 2013, David, after leaving Sequoia, for whom he worked at, the partner for Latin America, he was, willing to launch his own business, and he realized that the financial services in Brazil and in Latin America were suffering with a lot of blocks in terms of customer service. The financial systems in the region were extremely concentrated in a few players that never had to really focus on quality of service. So starting in 2013, our mission was, and I think it still is, to fight complexity and empower people in their financial lives. Taking into consideration, the way the company was founded and the people who seeded us from the beginning, we took also advantage to leverage on the expertise of these people. Particularly, I mentioned Nigel Morris because Capital One was one of the few examples of a new player that ventured into credit and was able to succeed in a very competitive market like the US. And some of those, contributions, they started showing case in the original, strategy of Nubank since day one. Example, we from day one decided to, be a player focused on credit, which is a bold decision for a new company. As you mentioned, Santiago, most of the startups would, start their ventures through, wallets, through payments, through investments. But what David realized from day one was that more than 70% of the profit pool of the industry in Latin America was concentrated in credit. And it is extremely difficult for you to switch into credit if you start doing something else. So that is why we started in credit cards. We started as a monoliner in credit card, always thinking about putting together differentiated credit models, and part of this was inherited from people that came from Capital One that had put together very, let's say, advanced techniques and technologies for credit underwriting, people that are still with us nowadays. And we decided to do, in the first moment, credit cards because the penetration of credit cards in Brazil and Latin America was extremely low, and that was a great product for you to engage people in their financial lives. And we continue to do so. However, the strategy evolved from being a monoliner to multi-product company, from being a mono-country in Brazil back in 2013 to become multi-country. Today, we also are present in Mexico and Colombia. and to be multi-segment. We do not only serve individuals, but we also evolved into SMEs. And as a matter of fact, we have more than 2.5 million SMEs in Brazil, which already put us as one of the 5 biggest SME players in the country in number of accounts. So I'll stop here, and I know that we have many other opportunities to dive deeper into each of those points.
No, thank you, Jorg. I mean, that is a great way to start. It clearly is an amazing case with some incredible success up to this point. Clearly, innovation is the one of the key features of the success of Nubank. And I wanted to touch a little bit more on what that means in the case of Nubank. Of course, and like Jose said in his introduction, innovation is not just technology, right? It's how to change what were used to be traditional services to something that can be disrupted and doing things differently. So I wanted to hear from you a bit more on how you create this culture of innovation internally. How do you make sure that stays within the company, and also perhaps within the same topic, how you overcome the challenges that the company has faced. I mean, obviously it's faced a few over time, and clearly you've managed to succeed where others have not.
Perfect. Thank you, Santiago. So first of all, it's super important to understand that we are playing an infinite game. For those that have already heard about, The Infinite Game is a book put together by Simon Sinek. This is part of the playbook we follow at Nu. This means that we are always in day one. Okay, so we have to reinvent ourselves as the market evolves, and our competitors also challenge us. So having said that, we ventured into financial services back in 2013 with this clear focus of have the customer on the center of our strategies. And this encompasses building an architecture that would have experiences in the forefront of everything that we do, based on the ultimate technology, both mobile and cloud-based technologies, with though a very human-centric approach in everything that we do. Just to lay out some of these differentiations, I would highlight that we have been able to develop our own proprietary technologies, such as our own core banking system, our own card processor, and we acquired years ago an immutable database called Datomic, through which we are able to operate into very big data lakes that allow for hyper scalability and optimization built on those robust data lakes that deliver ultimately superior customer experience in a secure environment. But I would say that, of course, as you pointed out, innovation is not only about bringing new technologies, but about reinventing ourselves as time passes. And since our foundation back in May 2013, this month we are completing 10 years of history. If you just realize how Brazil, our main market, has grown in these 10 years, you would be surprised. It grew on average at a pace of 0.2%. It's difficult to think that we could find a macro environment that is more mediocre than that. And still, we went from nowhere to serve nowadays 8 million customers as we released back in April last month. When we came, though, to the market in our IPO that happened in December 2021, the world was also quite different. We were operating at that time in an environment of low rates, and that was the perspective for the upcoming years. We were working in a scenario that was less volatile in terms of asset quality, and we were working with a scenario of less risk aversion. So how those things changed over time, and how was the reaction, so the adaptation of the company to this new reality? Because I think this exemplifies what we talk about innovation, because sometimes innovation has to do with adapting yourself in a very short term. So the first thing, we reacted to an environment of rising interest rates, and interest rates in Brazil are ballpark between 13.5 and 14%, by optimizing our funding strategy, meaning launching new products that would, under the eyes of our customers, be additions, and we brought what we call money boxes, and at the same time, we optimized funding cost. This was number one. Number two, taking into consideration the volatility in asset quality, and you have seen NPLs, increased quite a lot in Latin America overall, but particularly in Brazil. We reacted by tightening our credit standards for our riskiest product, which was unsecured personal loans, that was launched amid the pandemic, and for which we didn't have still a very long, expertise in terms of observing the behavior of this product through different cycles. At the same time, we expedited the launch of secured lending, which was not originally in the forefront of our strategy by the time of the IPO. And approximately 2 months ago, we launched officially our payroll product in Brazil. And finally, in terms of risk aversion, how did we react to increased risk aversion? We doubled down in terms of efficiency. We are firm believers that the long-term winners in financial services in Latin America will be tech-enabled companies that are the lowest cost manufacturers. And we double down in terms of efficiency, improving processes, optimizing our headcount allocation. And at the end of the first quarter of this year, we delivered a cost-to-income ratio of already 39%, which is among the best of the region.
Thank you, Jorg. That is a very comprehensive answer. I really appreciate it. And there's a lot to unpack from that. I mean, there's lots of things that you've managed to anticipate in the market, and that has put you in a better position than most. So congratulations on that. A lot of people didn't think you could be profitable as quickly, and you have shown that. So again, very, very well done. I wanted to talk a little bit about the competitive advantages of the company, and you've mentioned a few, and I can think of a few, but I want if we can simplify that into how you guys perceive this, and for those to be maintained. Obviously you don't have branches, right? I mean that by itself is somewhat of a cost benefit. But what other competitive advantages you think you have compared to the rest of the industry?
Perfect. I would refer, to slide 24, so we can double click in terms of some of our competitive advantages. But whenever we talk about, the strategy over the long term, I will revisit what I just said at my previous answer, which is we believe that the long-term winners of the financial services in Latin America will be tech-enabled companies that are the lowest cost manufacturers. Okay, so whenever you think about company that operates into financial services, you can unpack their cost structure in 4 different buckets. And forget about the labels. If it is a digital bank, if it is an incumbent bank, if we're talking about century 21st, if we're talking about century 19th, you can always think about the cost structure into cost to acquire clients, cost to serve, cost of risk, and cost of funding. So starting with cost to acquire, we have a cost of acquisition of new clients that on a fully loaded basis is running at $6.5 only. And I'm talking about fully loaded because this includes $2 of paid marketing. Many of the fintechs worldwide speaking, when they talk about cost of acquisition, CAC, they talk only about paid marketing. And in our case, this is fully loaded, which also encompasses costs such as costs from credit bureaus, printing and shipping of cards. So this cost, as per a recent survey done by McKinsey, it is one of the lowest worldwide. And why is this so low? Because until nowadays, Santiago, between 70 and 80% of all of our customers, they come to Nu via our referral network. It's word of mouth, member get member, without Nu having to spend a single penny in terms of marketing. So this talks very closely to the quality of service. Our NPS is between 80 and 90 points in the different geographies that we operate. And for those that are not fully aware about what NPS means, this is a metric that measures quality of service, and it usually the double of the average of other incumbent banks in Latin America, and our numbers are also the double of the average of other fintechs in the region. So going to the second bucket, cost to serve. As you pointed out, our cost to serve is less than $1 per active client per month. And this is 85% lower than that of incumbents. It's not 80% of incumbents, it's 85% lower than incumbents. And why is that? This occurs because we serve right now 75 million customers in Brazil only, with approximately 6,000 employees. A bank with a similar scale, serving similar amount of customers, would count with approximately 100,000 employees and between 3,000 and 4,000 branches. As you pointed out, we have none. Okay, so this is on cost to serve. However, there are other important features that allow us to achieve the lowest cost of manufacturing. Cost of risk. If you are operating in consumer finance, it's critical that you develop a very differentiated credit underwriting machine. Our credit underwriting is fully based on artificial intelligence and machine learning that get upgraded sequentially as we grow our data lakes. And as a matter of fact, as you can appreciate there, our NPLs in Brazil are already running at 5.5%. That on an apples-to-apples basis, meaning same product and same income band, is 25% lower than the rest of the industry. And I would refer very quickly to slide 27 to show to the audience how this breakdown is evolving. What you will see in this slide 27 is that not only we have maintained much lower NPLs versus the rest of the industry, but we have widened the difference over the last few quarters, and this has to do with the ongoing apprenticeship that we have on getting this data from our clients and expediting on the credit underwriting machine. I think the slide is not there, but we will come back to that later on. I will just finish here on cost of funding. Cost of funding, we developed one of the strongest franchises of local deposit. So sorry, this is the slide I was talking about. Nu is the purple line. The system, as highlighted by the central bank, is the gray line. And you can see that particularly for the lower income bands, which concentrate most of the market in the region, Nubank has performed better, and has widened the difference. So you see that in Brazil, more than 80% of the population earn a bit more than 3 or up to 3 minimum wages per month, and these are the charts in the upper part of this slide, and you can see that we have been consistently better and even widening the difference versus the rest of the industry. So coming back to the last point, as I was highlighting, cost of funding, we put together already $16 billion of cost of funding, funding, all coming from retail deposits, our own clients, without having to go into wholesale funding. And this is essential because if you're operating in a market that is super concentrated, as it is the case of Brazil, Mexico, and Colombia, wholesale is not an option. So a competitor will not be glad funding another competitor. Securitization is not an option because those markets are super shallow and they usually close when you most need them. So we really need to develop our own deposit franchise. And this is what we have done. Nowadays, we operate with approximately 80% of the interbank deposit in Brazil as cost of funding, which is already close to other incumbent banks that are between 65 and 70%. It's higher, but close. And with a loan to deposit ratio that is only 31% in Brazil, way lower than the average of Brazil, which is approximately 100%. So at the end of the day, putting all of those buckets together, we have become the lowest cost manufacturer of the industry already. And when that happens, two other things follow. First, you can enter into pockets of money that other players will not be willing to or cannot do. And second, you can price your products lower and you still have very compelling unit economics. And no matter if you're comparing ourselves versus an incumbent bank or with a fintech, using those pockets of costs, we have differentials versus all of them. Versus the incumbents, I would say we have significant differentials in cost to acquire and cost to serve. Versus other fintechs, we have very significant differentials in cost of risk. Very few were able to crack the code in terms of credit underwriting and in cost of funding. None of them developed such a strong deposit franchise at low cost.
Thank you, Jorg. That is again great information, and I'm very glad you break it down in those competitive advantages, because now I don't have to explain why Nubank is the number one position in our fund. I mean, clearly sustainability is key, and what you've achieved in terms of cost and funding metrics and so on, and particularly on the credit risk. I mean, this is incredible because I mean, you have 80 million clients in the region, right? So and you have managed to go into, like you said, different part of the market where other banks do not go to, thinking that it has a higher risk. You've gone there with a lower risk, so that is quite impressive. I would like to talk a bit more about the other avenues of growth, other products. I mean, you've ventured into insurance, wealth management, like you mentioned, SME and corporate. How does this look in the future? What other products you're thinking of launching? And if we were to think, say, 5 years ahead, how would you think that the pie for in terms of products would look like at Nubank?
Perfect. So I would initially highlight slide number 5 of our presentation to, I think it is the previous one, if you can. Sorry, so two ahead. Yes, this, perfect, I appreciate, sorry, my bad. So this is our addressable market in Latin America. So this chart breaks down the profit pool for all of the different countries in which we're present, Brazil, Mexico, and Colombia, by product. Okay, so and by profit pool here, I mean revenues minus cost of fund minus cost of risk. So after provisions and everything. So you're going to see that the profit pool in the Latin American region is approximately $140 billion. But even more impressive than that, we are talking about a region that has more than 600 million people, a region that is expected to have over the coming years more than $6 billion of GDP, but that still preserves very low financial inclusion. So just to give you a couple numbers, when you think about credit card penetration is between 40 and 50% of the adults in Brazil. But this is, short of 25% in Mexico and Colombia. Actually, when you talk about Mexico in particular, and if you talk about the cards issued only by the banking system, it penetrates only 11% of the adult population in the country. So it's a lot of potential. We started in credit cards, as I highlighted. When you look into this chart, you're going to see that we have approximately 11% market share in terms of purchase volume in that segment in Latam. And we have approximately 3% market share in unsecured personal loans in Latam. Other than that, our market share is tiny, less than 1% in all of the other verticals. This grants us a lot of potential to continue on growing, not only because our penetration is low, but also because we have already achieved significant penetration in terms of customer service. So we are serving in Brazil 46% of the adult population of the country. So I'll repeat, 1 in each 2 adults that have a smartphone in Brazil are already clients of Nu. We are not, though, in the business of collecting social security numbers. We are in the business of really developing principality, meaning having clients that use Nubank as their main financial hub. And as of the end of first quarter of 2023, 57% of our active clients are already using Nubank as their main financial hub. And this is really the holy grail of our model. And this allows us to be able to, over time, capture more and more revenues, because a client with whom we have principality generates 3 times more revenues than a client with don't have principality. Generates NPLs that are 50% lower than those with whom we don't have principality. And they even have lower price elasticity. So that allows us to go into different pockets of money and monetize a lot the platform. So going forward, we believe that we have significant opportunities to enter into secured lending. And by the way, we just launched in Brazil our payroll strategy disrupting once again the industry by eliminating the loan broker, a loan broker that charges between 15 to 18% of the principal amount as average commissions. So we are eliminating by doing this fully digital and passing over onto clients more competitive pricing. We are entering into investments in which we started a few years ago, and we are still starting to grow. We are entering into marketplaces, but thinking ahead, the sky is really the limit, as we intend to gradually become the only and one app of our customers in the region and optimize for their financial lives. And we can double down on this going forward, Santiago.
Thank you, Jorg. And this slide that you were just showing is really, really interesting to show the opportunity that's still available for you. And I think obviously time to market is key for any startup really and for any company. But understanding that or reaching scale is an advantage of itself, because you can now execute on a lot of those strategies that for other products, and M&A has been an option for you. I think you've done one this year, and obviously that can accelerate. But regarding and maybe you can touch on that later. But regarding the path of growth, I mean, Brazil is now a success. Profitability there is very high, much higher than market expected, and obviously this has been one of the key drivers for the stock this year in particular. But you've also and you mentioned you've also entered Colombia and entered Mexico. Would be really interesting to hear, how do you decide on those two countries? I mean, David's nationality probably is a hint, and Mexico is a large market as well. So curious to hear the differences and the difficulties you've encountered in those. And if also you can talk a bit more about what's next. Are you planning to get those countries to profitability before going into another one? What about outside of Latin America? If you think other markets are interesting too.
Perfect. So whenever we think about starting a new venture, be it thinking about a new product or thinking about a new market, we always use internal frameworks that we developed. So for a new market, we have an exercise that we call value inspection exercise. And under the value inspection exercise, we have 3 boundary conditions that this will decide upon our intention to go into the market and play that market as a core strategy for us. So the first one, this market needs to have a profit pool, bigger than $1 billion. For us. So the second thing, our cost to income needs to be lower than 50% in that market. So we will have a cost differentials to play around in that particular market. And third, the return on allocated capital is higher than 30%. So this is the framework that we always use and what we always aim at when thinking about starting a new venture. I would say that for the foreseeable future, over the coming 2 years or so, we have a lot of things on our plate. So we have a lot to execute upon. We have, still not, won anything in Brazil. So we have a lot to conquer in Brazil. We are still in the early stages of, launching new products. And we are just in the early days of both Mexico and Colombia. In Mexico and Colombia, we have less than 3% of the adult population as clients of Nu. And we started with credit card in both countries. And we just launched the second part of our playbook in Mexico, which is the checking account. Once again, remember what I mentioned before. If you want to be a relevant player in consumer finance, as we want to be in all of those markets, we need to have local deposit franchises. And checking account in Mexico and later in Colombia will be critical because of three things. First, because it allows us to scale more quickly. As you pointed out, scale per se is always an advantage. And indeed, when we have the checking account, we are able to say yes for all of our applicants. Right now, as we just have credit cards, we are limited by our credit thresholds. So we are saying no for approximately 70 to 75% of all of our applicants. The second advantage is, as I pointed out, our model scales with more data. As we increase the number of clients, and this happens when the checking account is launched, we are able to accelerate the pace through which our credit underwriting machine will learn. And this upgrades my systems and my credit underwriting as a whole. And the third and final point, it's super important because it will allow me to develop my local deposit franchise. So this is where we stand in these other countries. We are super excited with the early signals that we have coming both from Mexico and Colombia. As a matter of fact, when you compare where we are into those countries versus Brazil at the same stage, we are ahead, both in Mexico and in Colombia. So we are super excited what comes next. And thinking about the super long term, to respond your question, Santiago, I would refer to slide 30 of this presentation. So in slide 30 of this presentation, you will see what we believe that we have done already in terms of developing of differentials in the region. So you see that we have already become one of the 5 most beloved brands in Brazil due to our customer centricity, our very high NPS. As we pointed out, we have already developed significant scale with 80 million clients in Latam as of the end of April. We have proprietary models that treat data with hyper customization and hyper scalability. We have already put together a very important machine of profits. In Brazil, our cost to income is running at mid-30s. Our ROE is already surpassing 35%. And we put together a very talented group of people from 45 different geographies at Nu. So when this happens, this allows us to go into the next chapter of our strategy, which comes into the next slide, slide 31. We are putting together what we are internally labeling as a money platform. What is the money platform? The money platform is a concept that we created that resembles what would be social media platform or ecosystem, but for optimizing money and financial services. We believe that especially taking into consideration the next wave of technology, and we believe that AI might be the next internet in terms of upgrading the experiences and technological processes. We are in the forefront of creating a new platform that would really develop the one and only app of financial services, optimizing all the financial decisions of our customers. So, just think about the amount of social welfare that you could create if all of the financial decisions in your life would be optimized for the best products with less intermediaries, with the best returns. So what we want to create over the coming 10 years is this platform in which we would concentrate these relationships with our customers to be able to optimize their financial decisions. And that would allow us to also go beyond other non-financial products, such as marketplace, such as advertisements, and so on and so forth. With that, we would increase further our total addressable market in the region, at the same time that we would create more value, not only for our customers, but for the society as a whole.
Thank you, Jorg. Again, a very comprehensive answer that gives us a lot of light into the future. I had several questions on competition, but I think you've pretty much answered quite a lot of them. So there's just one that remains in my mind. I mean, we've seen a lot of traditional banks, as well as other, fairly large players, like think of Mercado Libre, if you will, also, and using technology to try to gain access to new products, new markets. So I'm just curious, is this a capex question for traditional banks? Do you think all this amount of investment that we're seeing from them will change the competitive environment in the future? And also these new entrants like, e-commerce companies or foreign players, or do you think, they will, the pie will be more driven by companies like yours? I mean, the market share gains.
No, thank you for the question, Santiago. By the way, it's super important to stress here that we respect a lot our competitors, both incumbent banks in the region and the fintechs. You mentioned particularly the name of Meli. Meli is one of the companies that we believe are going to be one of the long-term winners in the region. They are a true technology company, super well managed, that we respect a lot. And even when we talk about incumbent banks, we believe that it's not a monolithic block. So within the incumbent banks in Latin America, we have some of the best managed banks in emerging markets, but also some of the worst managed banks in emerging markets. So we will see a lot of transformation happening in the system, and of course, the best managed incumbent banks will adapt themselves to survive in the new competitive landscape, and maybe even increase their share versus what they have nowadays. Okay, so we believe that the size of the pie as a whole will continue to increase as we have higher financial inclusion and optimization of the financial decisions. So this is super important to stress. And in terms of what is going to happen and how the incumbent banks reacted so far, they reacted in different ways. So many of them created their own digital banks. So Itaú with ET, Bradesco with Nexti, in Chile, BCI with MAC, in Colombia, Bancolombia with NECI, Davivienda with DaviPlata, Regional with Hey Banco, and so on and so forth. So a number of examples. Some of them are more developed than others, but they are still trying to find equilibrium in terms of credit underwriting. As I pointed out, it passes through redesigning your concept about underwriting. And one thing that is super important is that it's not only our technology that allowed us to get into the point that we are, but also our cost advantages. Because once we have through cost advantage, you can enter into those pockets of money that other banks would not be willing to go. You develop principality, and this reinforces the flywheel of getting better asset quality. So I would say, these banks will have to rethink their cost structures. They have managed to cut costs significantly, but they still have costs that are 85% higher than the average of those true technology companies. And this is where I think most of the changes will happen over the course of the coming years. Having said that, other things that banks have done, they have increased quite a bit their net promoter score, their quality of service, and this is a process that will continue to happen. So, in other words, competition is getting tighter and tighter. The very competent players that are dominating the industry, they are for a reason, because they are competent and they are transforming themselves to be competitive in the new environment. We just think that we are some steps ahead in some of those competitive areas, and we will be able to continue maintaining some of these competitive advantages as the pie grows over time.
No, thank you, Jorg. That's very interesting. And the question that I see from this point, or the cost to income, and just for answering that question right away, I think the majority of banks, I think the range is about 40 to 60, right? So there's a significant, is significantly better at Nubank, which is obviously key. I wanted to touch on a separate topic, which is also very, very important to us. I think my image froze. Sorry about that. But can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you okay.
Okay. Yeah. So one question, and I know we're getting to the hour, so perhaps this is the last one. Then we can see questions from our viewers. But it's regarding ESG. As you know, ESG is very important to not just to us, but in general is a trend that has been growing in the region or globally. So I wanted to see how you in particular are thinking about ESG. You mentioned at the beginning of the presentation the importance of Sequoia. Berkshire is also a shareholder, Capital One, and so on. So in terms of governance, perhaps you can tell us a little bit more on how they help you determine the strategy. And in terms of part of the same question, the social and the environmental. I can clearly see some environmental benefits from just being a more efficient bank and not having all those branches and so on, and socially as well, reaching more customers. But perhaps tell us a little bit about how you guys are seeing this internally.
Yes, actually, ESG is a cornerstone for us. We were conceived as under a mission to simplify financial lives and fight complexity, right? So it's part of our mission, to improve the social welfare of the communities in which we are. And as a matter of fact, I am glad to say that yesterday we launched our first ESG report. For those that want to access, it is available in our investor relations website. And I'd say that one of the most important, drivers for our ESG strategy has been in terms of, diversity and inclusion, as well as, financial inclusion. You're going to see that, approximately, 10% of our customer base did not have any financial relationship before become a client of Nu. So we are including financially a number of customers. More than 30% of our credit card customers did not have a credit card before. More than 40% of our personal loan customers did not have a personal loan before. So we are increasing the market as we grow, and we intend to continue doing so in the other countries that we are going into, Mexico and Colombia, in which financial inclusion is even lower than Brazil at the point that we started in Brazil. And we are in the process of transition in terms of our customer base. And we are intentional in building the relationships with all of the shareholders that will share the same vision that we share and be able to help us navigating the challenges that we will face over the coming years. Sequoia is a super important partner of ours. They, as a matter of fact, transferred important part of their shares to their perpetual fund. So they will continue to be a long-term partner of ours, as the other funds that have been with us since our inception. So they are super close to ourselves, and being a public company allows us to expand this network of brilliant minds that will help us navigating and transforming the financial lives of our communities in Latin America.
Thank you, Jorg. That's very important. Like I said, for us and for our investors, I mean, it's a clear part of sustainability, not just in terms of financials, but also in terms of other metrics that are important to our investors. So thank you very much for that. I think we've reached the hour. If there are any questions from the audience, now would be the time. And I see a few coming, but we will just go through them really quickly, given the hour. One of the questions here is are there any models you have thought of to monetize your first your data with other players? That's perhaps a topic that I haven't thought about. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
I think this comes into the concept of the money platform, as I pointed out. We believe that if we are developing very big data lakes and we understand better, through data and through working that data, the relationships that our clients have, their behaviors, their payment strategies, etc. We can also help channeling traffic for different players in e-commerce, for instance. So this comes into a marketplace. We can leverage on this data to direct advertisement, so we can leverage on these non-financial services revenues. So this is part of the long-term strategy of the company.
Okay, thank you. Well, unfortunately, time's up. So I wanted to thank you very much, Jorg. This has been great. I wish we would have another hour to discuss, but that's the point. If our viewers want to know more, we're happy to discuss with them and also provide more information. Like you said, the presentation that you've used today is going to be on Nubank's website. And again, thank you very much, Jorg. Thanks everybody for your time. We hope to bring more interesting opportunities for you to learn more about. I'll give it to you, Jorg, and Jose to finish up.
Many thanks, Santiago. Many thanks for putting together this event. Many thanks for the audience, as you pointed out. The materials that we used are the first quarter earnings presentation. They are available on our website. And anything that any of you want to discuss further, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Jorg y Santiago. Muy interesante escuchar de primera mano la historia de Nubank, y no solamente eso, sino conocer la evolución, desafíos y oportunidades que van enfrentando día a día, con este enfoque en innovación que les ha permitido ser el gigante que el día de hoy son, ¿no? Y que les ha permitido también lograr algunas menciones, como ser incluidos en la lista de las 50 empresas más innovadoras del mundo, ¿no? Esta lista administrada por Fast Company en Estados Unidos, logrando el quinto puesto a nivel mundial y el primero en la categoría de América Latina. Nubank es una de las 35 empresas en las cuales el Fondo Latam Innovación invierte. Empresas como Mercado Libre, Vitex, WEC, Globant, entre otras, son empresas consolidadas en el mercado y que se mantienen en desarrollo continuo. Si están ustedes interesados en seguir conociendo más acerca de Nubank y otras empresas que están disrumpiendo en el mercado latinoamericano, tienen en la parte inferior de la pantalla un QR que los va a llevar hacia la web del fondo. Y en esta web van a poder encontrar un formulario en el cual van a poder colocar sus datos para poder seguir recibiendo información de empresas y de nuestro fondo. Asimismo, si están interesados en invertir, tienen varias plataformas. Tienen Ativa en Perú y Colombia, tienen Atempo en Chile, y también tienen nuestros fondos de Luxemburgo, que están disponibles para las 3 plataformas, Chile, Perú y Colombia. Y por supuesto, quienes tienen un asesor de inversiones pueden preguntar directamente a ellos por más información. Les agradecemos a todos por su presencia y nos vemos en una próxima edición. Gracias.